All right, welcome to this explainer. If you are prepping for the Cambridge Afrikaans AS level exam, you already know the deal. Those Passage 1 grammatical manipulation tests, yeah, they can absolutely make or break your final grade. But today, we're not just going to sit here and memorize grammar rules. No way. We're stepping directly behind the curtain. We're looking straight through the examiner's lens to decode exactly, and I mean exactly, what separates your average, middle-of-the-pack responses from the truly elite top-tier marks.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's the blueprint we're using today to secure those top marks. We're going to start by getting inside the examiner's mind. Then we'll outline a step-by-step methodology, uncover that crucial method mark strategy, review the top 3 examiner warnings, and finally, wrap it all up by mastering critical evaluation.
So here's a massive question for you. Why do incredibly well-prepared students consistently lose marks on Passage 1? It is a tragic reality of the examination room, honestly. You can know your Afrikaans vocabulary and your grammar absolutely inside out, right? But evaluating evidence and drawing conclusions in the exact, highly specific way that Cambridge demands, that is notoriously difficult. Students drop massive tariff points simply because they just don't know what the examiners are actively looking for.
So let's build our theoretical foundation with Section 1, Inside the Examiner's Mind, where we demystify the grading.
Look, it all really comes down to assessment objectives, or AOs. Now, these aren't just some vague, nice-to-have guidelines. They are the specific cognitive domains and skills that examiners use to systematically evaluate your answer. Think of them as the hidden criteria that dictate literally every single mark on that paper. It's a rigid framework. If you aren't actively hitting these objectives, you aren't getting the marks, period. And that's true no matter how utterly flawless your Afrikaans syntax might be.
Specifically, Passage 1 targets 3 distinct cognitive domains. We've got knowledge and understanding, analysis, and evaluation. And here's the kicker. Successful candidates have to demonstrate high competence across all 3 of these simultaneously. You can't just know the linguistic rules. You have to analyze how they're applied in a specific passage and then critically evaluate the outcome of your grammatical manipulation. It's a multi-layered process. Now, the syllabus heavily emphasizes that top-performing students exhibit connected conceptual understanding. What does that actually mean for you? Well, it means elite candidates don't just sit there and memorize isolated grammar rules like a robot. Instead, they reference cross-topic connections. They actually understand the causal relationships in the language, and they successfully transfer that theoretical knowledge to entirely unfamiliar contexts within the stimulus materials. That is how you unlock those higher mark bands.
So how do we actually apply all of this theory under exam pressure? That brings us to Section 2, the step-by-step methodology for systematic processing.
I want you to consider this standardized 6-step sequence as your ultimate exam survival guide. Step 1, deconstruct the question, so you know exactly what grammatical shift is required. Don't skip this. Step 2, extract the relevant data from the texts. Step 3, select the correct analytical framework. Step 4, and this is huge, execute the manipulation with clear, visible notation. Step 5, verify your results for reasonableness. Does it actually make sense? And finally, Step 6, present the final answer using the correct terminology. Following this exact, rigorous formula guarantees you're using a logical problem-solving process every single time.
Now we arrive at what might literally be the most important tactical insight of this entire explainer. Section 3, the method mark strategy. This is your exam safety net.
There's a stark contrast between 2 very common approaches here. The answer-only approach is incredibly high risk. Think about it. If you only write down your final manipulated sentence, and you happen to make one minor spelling mistake or a tiny concord error, you lose the mark. It's gone. The method mark approach. That is safe. The grading scheme explicitly rewards the process. By showing your clear working and mapping out exactly how you arrived at your grammatical conclusion, examiners will award you method marks. Yes, even if your final manipulation is slightly flawed, you still get credit for the correct steps you took.
To really reinforce how crucial this is, let's pivot to Section 4, the top 3 examiner warnings. These are the traps you absolutely need to avoid.
Just listen to this direct quote pulled straight from a principal examiner report. Students lose marks by not showing working. Even if your final answer is wrong, method marks can save you. Guys, this is an urgent alert. It highlights a really tragic reality.
We see incredibly capable Afrikaans students needlessly dropping tariff points simply because they try to do these complex, multi-step manipulations in their heads, instead of just putting their process down on paper. Don't fall into that trap.
Beyond just showing your work, here are the 3 critical errors that examiners see over and over and over again. Number 1, forgetting proper formatting, which just throws away easy marks. Number 2, ignoring overall presentation conventions. I'm talking about things like correct headings and clear annotations. And number 3, providing generic answers that aren't specific to the given stimulus material. Remember, having brilliant Afrikaans grammar means absolutely nothing if you're ignoring these strict, standardized presentation rules.
Finally, we're going to elevate our focus with Section 5, Mastering Critical Evaluation. This is all about reaching that top tier.
So the crucial point here is that you absolutely cannot stay in the realm of descriptive analysis, where you're merely summarizing what's already sitting there in the text. To satisfy those higher-order assessment objectives we talked about earlier, you have to push into evaluative analysis. You need to break the problem down into logical steps, evaluate alternative grammatical approaches, check your syntax for reasonableness, and make justified, evidence-based conclusions. It has to be a highly active, comparative process.
I won't leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. If Passage 1 is built entirely on logical steps, specific assessment objectives, and method marks, what is actually stopping you from treating the Afrikaans language like a perfectly solvable equation? Because honestly, that's exactly what it is. You now have the examiner's playbook in your hands. So apply this step-by-step methodology immediately to your past paper practice. Meticulously show you're working, verify those results, and just watch your marks completely transform. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.